Yeah, I know.
Good afternoon. This is Sunil Sundaraj with njvarsity.rivals.com. I'm happy to welcome in Seton Hall Prep Football senior offensive tackle and defensive tackle, Declan Kazan. Declan, thank you so much for taking some time out to speak with me today.
Absolutely. You're welcome.
Hey, Declan, congratulations on just a tremendous, career there at Seton Hall Prep. I just wanted to, I guess if you first want to start out, can you believe it? The ride is over as far as, your football career here. But, just looking back now, you've had a couple weeks, what comes to your mind, first and foremost?
Well, first off, I feel like I was a freshman yesterday between how fast everything went and, how great the experience was there. All the relationships, connections, and the family that I made over my 4 years there, after these weeks I've had to reflect, that's all I've been thinking about. I went out the best way possible. I had a great senior year. I was a captain. I had my best season, and we ended the season with an amazing win, one of the best in our school's history. And, I can't ask for a better way to go out, but I'm still sad that it's over. But it's all good memories looking back on it.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you first, heading into this season, of course, dealing with this COVID-19 pandemic, you guys didn't know if you were going to, be able to take the field, play any football games. But just once you got, again, that green light, to, play, the game of football and, practice, with your teammates. And then, of course, you had the regular season. What was just, the emotions that were going through, personally and just, for the team, Declan?
I remember vividly that last day that we were told that we were going on a 2-week break, and everybody, was happy about it. We getting a break from school. That's the typical high school reaction that you would get. And, that snowballed obviously into being away from everybody for the rest of the school year and even some time after that.
Yeah.
Our team did a great job of making sure that we were staying together on Zoom. We were doing workouts together, and our strength and conditioning coach, Coach Ruiz, was pumping out lifts for us left and right.
Mm-hmm.
And when we came together in the summer, that was really the first day to see how everyone has been doing and what they've been doing on their own. And needless to say, everybody came back in better shape than they left. And that was a true testament to the character of our team. So summer practices went on, and then as we got into real practices, that's when things really started to pick up, and everything went off without a hitch. We did a great job of making sure that, their cases didn't spread, and we stayed social distance, wore masks when possible. But nothing will beat that first summer practice that we all came back together. That was an incredible day. Just the energy that was there. Everybody was so happy to just be around one another. But I really think that the reason that we had the success we did this year was because of how we prepared during that off season.
Being a senior, a team captain, what was the message going into this year, especially with the senior class? What you guys wanted to, any goals that you guys wanted to, any benchmarks that you wanted to, fulfill, set for this year, Declan?
Well, our team, we always talk about the goals we have as a team is that we want to compete relentlessly for championships. We want to have the best team GPA, and we just want to be the best team possible. But this year in particular, if you really want to take a soundbite out of something that we would say all the time, especially as captains, you would keep hearing nothing's guaranteed.
Yeah.
And, that was something that we said every single practice, every single game, nothing's guaranteed. You got to play like it's your last practice, because we didn't know. And after Union City, lo and behold, we were shut down for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So that was something that you would hear a lot. But no, we reached every goal that we wanted to this year. And we were coming off a really hot season last year. And there were a lot of things being said about us, that we weren't as big, we weren't as strong, as fast. We lost a lot of our, our upperclassmen. But, we came out, and I think we shut everybody up.
Yeah. It's a good way of putting it. I have to ask you, going into that St. Peter's Prep game, at home, what was just, the week leading up to it, the game, game day, and then, you guys coming out, and then again, be able to, put on that type of performance, upset, arguably, top team, said, North Jersey, here, also probably, across the state. What, just walk me through that entire process, Declan.
So last year, we took down St. Joe's, and that was a huge win for us, a huge upset, and that was a big shock to everybody in the state, except for the guys in the locker room. We always prepare, and we're never scared of any opponent that we play. We know the conference we play in, we know how hard we work, and leading up to this week at St. Peter's was no different. And obviously it was a big game for our coach. He would coach there for years, and obviously it was a big game for us because they're defending state champs. We haven't beat them in forever. And they were number 5 in the country across a lot of polls. That's a huge game for us. But the way that we practiced, the way that we did everything, and the way that we were, nothing changed. Same routine. And, when we came out to that game, we were ready. You could feel it when you were there. And we knew we were going to win that game just because of the connection that we had with each other.
Yeah.
There was not a bit of doubt across the team.
Yeah, just to see how exhilarating it was, the emotions pouring out, you guys rushing the field, and just a great moment to see,
After the game, I was one of the most emotional guys there.
Yeah.
I was celebrating. It was great. And then just the tears came out.
I know. That's why I wanted to ask you, taking that jersey off, knowing it, last home game. Can you describe over these last 4 years, playing home games up there, it said, what it's just, this year was different, of course, with no fans, just some family in the stands, but just, again, what that was like, with the home games, just playing in that atmosphere, Declan.
The atmosphere playing at the CAC it's incredible. And I've played at a lot of great places and a lot of great schools with a lot of fans, big student sections, but nothing beats the CAC. It's up in a beautiful location where it overlooks the city.
Yeah.
It looks great in the fall. And it really just, the reason it's so great comes down to the alumni, families, and the student section.
Yep.
Pirate Nation is what we call our student section, and it's always loud, it's always rowdy. And obviously this year we couldn't have it, but you take a look back at any one of our games last year, there were hundreds of kids there. And the alumni, there's always a ton of alumni there too. The family are there. It's great having that support network there, scoring a touchdown, making a big sack, doing all of these things. It's incredible to look up and see all of the fans there. But it feels like home.
That's great. I had to ask you, being a team captain carries a lot of responsibilities, a lot of weight on your shoulders. And I also want to ask you, wearing that number 75, but just what, again, being able to assume that role, what that meant to you personally, Declan.
I've always embraced my role as a leader, even when I wasn't a captain. And, we always talked about having 75 leaders on the team. You don't have to be a captain to be one. But being in that position and being in that position of authority, it was really, really exciting for me. And while it was a big responsibility, myself and the other 4 captains, we all embraced that. And we all knew how serious it was that not only did we have to be a captain of a football team, we had to be the captain of a high school football team in the middle of a pandemic. So there were a lot more things to take into consideration there, making sure guys were staying disciplined, making sure that people were doing the things they were supposed to be doing. And, we had some problems on the team just internally, just with guys not doing what they were supposed to, and we took care of it. And, it's a very big responsibility, but it's one that I've always looked forward to, and I've always embraced my role as a leader.
That's great. Again, we discussed beforehand that you play on both sides of the ball, and I wanted to ask you, first, with being an offensive tackle and then defense as well, if you want to just talk about both positions, what makes them so unique, and just being able to play then, and again, being able to thrive in those roles and have success, Declan.
So last year I played a little bit of offensive tackle because our starting tackle Lucas, he had a shoulder problem. So I would jump in games here and there, and I always played offense. Sophomore year I didn't, and then junior year they needed me to step in, so I did. And being one of the smaller guys out there for an offensive tackle, weighing barely 200 pounds, last year, it was a challenge, but I embraced it. I had an awesome coach, Tom Filato, one of my favorite mentor I've ever had. He's just the best guy. But it was a big role for me to fill, and I did. Now, I played a little bit of tackle this year. Around the 3rd or 4th game, they switched me to only defense just because I started making more plays that way. And we had a good person to fill the role, a tackle. But this year it was also, being an offensive tackle, you're going against arguably one of the toughest kids in the field, being a defensive end. And then vice versa, being a D end, especially in this league, you look at some of the offensive tackles, they are monstrous. They are animals. And that is, it's an incredibly challenging position, but that's what makes it so exciting for me. And, I'm going to go play defensive end in college, and I'm really excited for that. But, playing both sides of the ball, it's exhausting, but there's something special about it. You don't come off the field. You're constantly rotating. It's a great experience.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, the grind, man. Like, every week getting prepared for that, it's said physical sport, but also mentally also. It takes a lot out of you. And, to recharge those batteries every week, get ready for a game. Not everyone, can understand, the demands and the rigors that you guys go through every single week, Declan.
Absolutely.
Uh,
And our team did an excellent job. I mean, our strength and conditioning program is like no other that I've seen, and our coach does an excellent job of getting us prepared physically. But
yeah,
we also took a lot of time to focus on the mental game, and football is arguably more of a mental sport than it is physical.
yeah,
And focusing on that and practicing that like you would practice anything else in the game is what I think really separated us.
it's great. I wanted to, you talked about a number of coaches, but first, I said with head coach, Bill Fitzgerald, just what are some of the intangibles that Coach, Fitzgerald brings to the table, and just what he's meant to you, here at Seton Hall Prep, Declan.
Coach Fitz came in my freshman year when we were going through our sophomore training season, and it was a big change for all of us there. But he came in and immediately started running things the way that they should be run. He's a great guy. I have a great relationship with him, but he brings a really, really element of toughness and especially mental toughness to the game. He's going to challenge you not only physically, but to see how you're going to react to certain things. We talk all the time about being able to take constructive criticism. But also, I mean, he's just an excellent offensive coordinator. The plays that he calls, the trick plays that you see us run, like
Yeah.
that one that won Joe's game last
Yep.
year, the hook and ladder we ran in the Peters game. I mean,
Yeah.
he's an offensive genius, so he brings a lot to the team. But he's our father figure, and he's the guy. He's great.
It just entered my mind playing, some of these the non-public group fours, group threes. Arguably, I mean, you talk about not only the toughest competition here in North Jersey, state of New Jersey, but maybe across the country. I mean, what does that mean, to play that level of competition year after year, Declan?
It makes you feel great. I can't even lie about it. I mean,
Yeah.
there's something special about playing in the conference that we play, and we get all the attention that we get, and to have the success that we have had as a program against these teams and being one of these teams now,
Yeah.
it means something. It means something very, very special, and every guy on the team embraces that. We know this isn't Pee Wee football anymore. We know this isn't Group 1 football. This is serious Big North high school football. And like you said, you hear a lot of people argue that this might even be one of the best conferences in the country.
Yeah. I mean, it just seems like you talked about Coach Fitzgerald, just changing that culture, that mentality, said with, the team, with the school. It just seems like it really, just a light bulb went off, and then you could see now the results really paying off on the field, Declan, even off the field as well. I wanted to ask you about your training, every year, off season. Talking to other players, there's never downtime. It's 24/7, 365. You're always, in the weight room, or, on the track field or on the football field. Can you just, talk about every year, making, that progression?
Mm-hmm. So when Coach Ruiz came back, he did an internship at Ohio State, our strength coach, and he came back in the winter. It's 4 days a week. We lift and run. Spring is 5, and then summer, obviously, it's a grind. That's summer. But you see a lot of the guys on our team that take that lifting and running, and they do more on top of it. So I know guys like myself are working out 6 times a week, balancing that out with speed training, balancing that out with position specific stuff. There's a lot of training that needs to go behind having the success in playing in the conference that we play in. And we start lifting in December. We have 2 to 3 weeks off, and then it's light lifts for a little bit in December, but then things really kick back off. And football is the only sport where you have to put in months and months of preparation to play the least amount of games compared to any other sport.
Yeah.
It's a very physically enduring sport, but we were prepared for that just based off of our training.
That's great. You talked about the support from alumni, from the students. That's what I was going to ask you. Even your athletic director, administration there, and even the town of West Orange. What they've meant to you over these last 4 years, Declan.
Mm-hmm. I'm from New Providence. And
okay.
It's a 20-minute drive up there.
Okay.
But I mean, I feel at home at that school, and I feel at home with the people who I'm surrounded by. I have seen people in the weirdest spots you would expect, and I wear a Seton Hall Prep shirt, and someone will come right up to me, and I'll have a conversation with them. They could have gone to the school 5 years ago. They could have gone to the school 50 years ago.
Yeah.
But the brotherhood and the relationships and the network that we have at Seton Hall is like no other place I've ever seen. And that is something that we pride ourselves on. It's all about the family, the brotherhood.
That's great. I was going to say is that it's just not about athletics, Declan. It's also academics as well. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that, balancing out both is a challenge, trying to stay organized and, keep that time management, if you can just speak to that as well.
Time management is definitely a very important skill to have, and that's something that we emphasize, and that's something that Coach Fitz in particular emphasizes more than anybody. That you need to be on top of your academics. And when he came in, one of the main goals that he said he wanted to have was to have the highest team GPA in the school. And that is something that is crucial to living up, because if you don't get the grades, you don't play.
Yeah.
But going to the school that we go to, the private school, the rigorous academics that we have, balancing that out is a key factor, and all the guys on our team do a very good job of that. You rarely see us have anybody in summer school.
Mhm. That's great. So let's talk about with college and everything. If you can, let everyone know what the process and just said as far as that is going, Declan.
Last year, I was speaking to some schools, and some of them I'm still speaking to now, but,
Mhm.
things really picked up for me during this year and after my season.
Mhm.
The process has been really, really great. And a big part of that is Coach Fitz. Again, he does a great job of connecting you with coaches and does a great job of talking you up to coaches, giving them the right advice and the right opinions about you. But I remember I had a meeting with him in March, it might have been, about he sees me playing college football. And we had a 45-minute Zoom conversation about things like that. So being at Seton Hall Prep and the college counselors that we have and the coaches that we have, all of the college process is super easy and it's super simplified just because of the people that we're surrounded by.
Mhm. That's great. Just have a couple more left. Can't thank you enough for the time, Declan. I was wondering, growing up and even here at Seton Hall Prep, any other sports that you played, and then when you truly knew that what, football is my passion, and then this is what I want to do. Going through high school into college, Declan.
I played lacrosse and football up until, I believe, 8th grade.
Okay.
And we got the acceptance letters from Seton Hall my January of my 8th grade year, and right before my lacrosse season. And after I got that, I knew what football was like there. I knew the challenges that I was about to face and the competition I was about to go up against. So I decided that I was going to quit lacrosse. And I actually did a spring football league in 8th grade. And I met some kids, including our quarterback, Jaden, on that team that I now
Okay.
play with. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's when I knew that, football was where I really wanted to focus my time on.
Yeah. I mean, some of these guys that said you played with, for a long time, what is that? I mean, not a lot of people can, of course, understand, as you talked about that brotherhood and these relationships will carry on, as said, for years to come through college and, even afterwards. What does that mean to, to know that, these guys, I said, you've been to, been through the battles, been through all the ups and downs, and, you just talk about that, Declan, excuse
It,
me.
it means everything to me. And I've always been one that plays, not plays, but is all about relationships and making relationships with people and friendships. All of the people that we played freshman football with, you take a look at that team had 70 kids on it. You take a look at our seniors, there's 20, and that's typically how it is. But the guys that stuck together, and not just the seniors, the whole team, even on the sophomore level,
Yeah.
you stick through the runs in the 6 o'clock in the morning and all of the times in the heat and in the summer practices, all the lifts, waking up, because we lifted before school as a team, all of the, just everything building up into the season, the long practices. It does something to a group of people, and nothing brings people together like football does. And the relationships that we make, especially having the ability of our school too, with how close we are in school, I made the friends that I'm going to keep the rest of my life already, on top of my college friends. But this is the network of people that I will stick with forever. And I know that I could go to anybody on the team, any coach, or anybody in the school, and they would help me with whatever I need at the drop of a hat.
Great. That's wonderful. I was curious that, being a senior now, team captain, that it's almost like you come full circle. As a freshman, you're learning, from the upperclassmen, from the seniors. So now here you are 4 years later, you're able to pass down your knowledge, your experiences to the freshmen. I'm just wondering how that dynamic worked out, Declan.
So I remember vividly what the seniors were like my freshman year, and seeing it all come full circle and how fast it came full circle. Now that I'm in this position, it's scary, and it's something that, you really have to embrace. But, you see, especially I've always taken pride in this. I love getting to know the freshmen and them coming into the school right away and them feeling like they have a familiar voice with me in the senior class. And, I did my best to make relationships with them, pass down advice. And if you ask a lot of people on the team, not to sound arrogant, but I'm one of the guys that they would come to with advice, even for off the field matters.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also a peer leader in our school. So all of our freshmen are broken up into homerooms. And for half of lunch every day, they meet with their two peer leaders. And it's basically so that they have a familiar face in the senior class and someone they can look up to and ask for advice. And, we show them how to get into the school and how to make their way through the right way. So I've always been there to pass down my advice. And standing in front of the room as a senior and a captain and taking that jersey off for the last time, it's a surreal feeling. And knowing that, but I don't have any regrets, and I'm very happy with how my career went.
That's fantastic. Can't forget about family, Declan. Your parents, if you have any siblings, and just what they've meant to you as far as that support system. Growing up, and then being younger, and then of course here at Seton Hall Prep.
So my dad played football at Princeton, and he was a great football player there, and he's always had my back. And my dad's always given me the best advice for football and led me down the right path. And the last 2 years I kind of took it upon myself when I became a young man in quotes. But my dad, my mother, and my sister have always been there for me. They come to every single one of my games. They're always there to give me hugs afterwards, and they make me feel like the most important kid in the world.
That's great. Actually, I have two left. I was just wondering if they're both, again, offensive linemen and then defensive as well, whether it's in the college game or, the NFL, that you've tried to, sort of take any, nuggets or tidbits from them and, sort of apply it to your game, here the last 4 years at Seton Hall Prep, Declan.
I love watching the Bosas, and I love watching TJ Watt. Those are guys that I've always looked up to. And, TJ Watt's kind of new on the surface, but the Watt family, Reggie White, a lot of old guys too. Yeah. They've always used them for my best help. And I also watch my dad's film from college too. But
nice.
Yeah, I've picked apart and broken down a lot of film just to get technique down. And actually, I trained at a facility called Pro Edge with a guy named Javon Parker who played in the NFL, and I got a lot of information from him. I started going there my sophomore year, and he was like a father to me, just helping me out with everything. So yeah,
that's great. Final question is that you see a lot of younger kids, you're there one time, that are at these games and, throwing the football around and, said playing peewee and junior, football. I'm just wondering, you said being a senior, you were a team, also a team captain, what your message would be to younger kids, who are trying to aspire, to, move up that ladder and, eventually, said play varsity football.
Before every one of my games, there was this exercise that I walked myself through. It was a visualization thing, and it was placing myself on the field that I was playing at. At the end of the field, I saw myself, my 4-year-old self, throwing the ball around with my friends and remembering why I fell in love with the game. And my advice to anybody that's coming up, especially not just a little bit younger than freshman, I'd give someone this advice to. When you get to high school football and when you get to the real world of football, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of really, really hard times, and it's a lot of adversity you're going to have to face, whether that be strength and conditioning, that be something on the team, or balancing out your personal life with it. Don't forget why you fell in love with the game. And more importantly, don't forget that little kid that fell in love playing the game, because that's what's going to drive you at the end of the day, and make sure you have a reason why you play football.
Well said. Hey, Declan, you're a class act, said should be very proud of yourself. I'm sure your family is, and, you're, Seton Hall Prep as well. Again, wishing you continued success. I said, congrats on, upcoming graduation, in 2021, and then, with college as well. And looking forward to seeing what you do at the next level.
Thank you so much. And I really, really appreciate you setting this up. We exchanged messages a year ago, and that meant a lot to me when you reached out there. So I really, really do appreciate this. Thank you.